Got a very special guest in the studio. Well, not in the studio. I've got him on the phone, and he's a very interesting man. Very interesting man. He's the Silverwater Jail prison officer. Gurpreet Singh is his name, and I believe that he believes in the power of faith and second chances, an outlook that has served him well during the almost 30 years that he spent helping inmates, his peers, and the Sikh community. Now, have I got you there, Gurpreet?
Yes. Right,
excellent.
John.
Thank you. I can hear you very, very well, which is great. Now, I know you're a very humble man, but we want to highlight the work that you do because it's a very important job, obviously, that you do. You're at Newington House at Silverwater Correctional Complex. And basically, could you tell me what your job involves?
John, basically my job involves in the classification and placement of the inmates all over the state. And the core responsibility is the management of the classification and the placement of the case management process through with the case plans, and that with a team of case managers, manager security, and manager offender services and programs.
Now that sounds like a very complex job.
It is. Apparently, it's just a lot of stakeholders which are involved in classification and placement, and we take that seriously, considering the risk and the inmates which come to the custody and looking into the background and as they come in.
Now, I think, judging by what you have to do, you must have a very good sort of, if I can put it, judgment of mankind. You must be able to read people fairly well.
John, nobody is perfect, but reading mind is not my part of the duties. But we try to do our basic analysis based on the information which is available to us, so we can tailor-made to the inmates or the people who are coming inside the prison, so that they are looked after professionally.
Now, you've been doing this job for almost 30 years now. What would you say that roughly your percentage success rate of rehabilitating these prisoners?
Look, I can't give you the exact one, but there are stats which are being done by the Offender Services and Program Division. But again, it becomes person to person who wants to be rehabilitated too. Not only if I'm trying to say that yes, that's what is our percentage, but in reality, that comes from the inmates who have gone out and they have never come back.
That's great. Do you have any contact with people who have turned their lives around? Any of them phone you back and say, "You did a marvelous job with me"?
Look, we don't get direct input, and obviously being in profession, and you have to have that code of conduct.
Yes.
But you listen to the stories, and you know it because when you deal with them and the way they are progressing, and then they know that yes, that's the last thing, I need to be here.
Yes. Now, your programs involve people who are people who have problems with aggression, drugs, or alcohol, and that sort of thing, and they're all pretty heavy issues, aren't they?
Yes, I mean a lot of the issues which comes with that kind of background. Domestic violence, drug, alcohol, and violence, sex offender unit, that kind of. But we have got a separate areas, other programs which run, and they identify that these are the inmates where we can do that kind of program so that they can better themselves. Do you?
Is it very hard to your job? I imagine can be very stressful. Are you able to leave the job at work and not bring it home with you, so to speak?
That's a very big challenge, John. Over the years, you learn that. Otherwise, it affects your family and it affects you. But again, sometimes, and that different situation happens, and you have that stress with you. And over the years, fortunate enough that you able to manage that with the faith and with the service and with a lot of support from inside, from our, faith-based activities.
I was going to say to tell the people listening that you are a Sikh, and I imagine that does help you quite a lot in doing your job.
Yes, certainly, because every day it's a new day. I look at it, and with Sikh faith, you have the basic tenets. Obviously, every faith has, but with Sikh faith, we have, say, called Nam Japna, and then Seva, and then sharing with the needy, and it's kind of a wisdom, and we go over analysis ourselves, and serving in the Gurdwara, or that is service, that gives us more that to live for others, and same way sharing not only the money bit but your time with the people who need it. So that gives you a bit more into it. And same approach, if that's what till now I've been taking back to work, and that helps me in getting myself morale up and with the positive thoughts.
Sure. I was going to ask you, have you any sort of the cases that spring to mind, particularly difficult cases that you've been involved in? Obviously, without naming names, but sort of situations.
Sure. I still remember one of the inmates who was a chronic self-harmer, and even to that extent that he would try to kill himself at every instant. So we put him through one of the programs where there was a self-harm program. And then at that time, we gave him the program ethics and went through. And again, it is mentoring the inmates, and slowly become the person who was a mentor for the inmates coming into that program. And from that, when we asked him, I said, might as well do something on that line. And over the years, perhaps 10 years or so, I said, what are the instances that have happened with you as a self-harm? So he got motivated, went into that he said, I think I should write a book. I said, that's a great idea. And we supported him through, and I haven't, as far as I know, haven't seen him, but then we introduced to some, outside book advisor who could, the person could give them how to help with book publications. And that was one of those, instances where you think, hey, at least there's something moving in that direction.
Exactly. That's a wonderful outcome, that one, isn't it?
Yes, certainly.
Yeah. Any others that you'd like to bring to mind?
There's a Toastmaster program which we used to run up at the Long Bay, and which encourage the public speaking skills, and that also enhances the fear out of the mind, and they have a bit of openness. They can talk. They can, communicate well, because the basic stuff itself is a lot to do with literacy. And then when you start like that, then encourages inmates to open up. And that's very important for any program to be successful.
Indeed. Now, I must ask you, because it's sort of one of those jobs that, if I can put it this way, it's sort of not a popular job. It's not one that everybody sort of sees themselves doing. Is that something that you've always wanted to do from a young person?
Look, you're spot on with that. It's just one of those things. When we came to Australia, and that was one of the jobs which was keep us financially strong, and that was a good paying job.
Yes.
That started with that. And slowly, when we went into it and we tried to get most of that, and really interested that you can change the life around.
Yes.
And you need the tools, and we have that tool with a good program setups, with good services set up, which gives us kind of a team environment. And with that, we were able to change the lives of the inmates who really want to get change,
Sure. Now, were you one of the ones who were involved in setting up this program?
Well, not this program, but in reality, it's a part of the team.
Yes.
I'm from custodial background, so we've worked in, say, various therapeutic programs. That is Kevin Waller unit, sex offender unit, special care unit, lifestyles unit. So we've gone through the various programs, got trained dealing with inmates, how you deal with them, security-wise as well as, and we were part of taking the programs. So it gives more insight into that how we are dealing with the inmates too, and it's both ways. You give respect, you get respect.
I was going to ask you, that was going to be my next question. Have you ever been in a situation where you think, oh my goodness, I could be over my head with this situation here?
Well, I mean, any situation is a unique situation.
Yes.
I just remember one of the places where, one of the inmates was supposed to be going to another jail, and he was reasoning, and he in a different fashion, and one of the staff members went and spoke to him and says, no, he's being belligerent, and he doesn't want to come out of the area. We have to perhaps use force. And I said, look, let me talk to him. And then I spoke to him, and he says, what's the reason? Very basic stuff on communication. And he says, oh, can I see my photos before I go to another jail? I said, yes, that is not an issue.
Yes.
You can certainly go. And I made sure that before he's going, he's escorted, and he had looked at the photos, because he is in mindset that he would not be able to see his photos which are in his property. And guess what? That averted a situation.
Wow.
And that is how a lot of time, and because that's the last resort when you are working professionally to make sure that the inmates are looked after. That's the job.
Yes. Oh, that's a wonderful story, that one. Now, you were among 10,000 CSN NSW staff who celebrated on National Corrections Day recently on January the 21st for commitment to giving back to the community through your work. How did that make you feel?
Well, that made me proud. At least, being a part of the institution for such a long time, and over the years, it becomes a second nature, and you can guide, you can help the inmate for better outcome for themselves, and this will make a harmonious workplace for everybody.
Yes.
The next inmate who comes or next person who is there, at least they will look at it, hey, this is not like so-called American jails. Yeah, you have to be fair, but you have to be firm also.
Yes.
You have different inmates with different backgrounds also. Language is a barrier. A lot of mental health issues, they are the concern. But if you are dealing with them with patience, you are in reality giving back to the community, because those are the inmates who are going back into, they will be released at one time.
Yes.
And when they're released, obviously, what they will remember, how they're being treated.
Yes. What sort of jobs do they do? Do they get involved with the inmates?
John, they vary depending upon which jail they are they sentenced. They do a lot of jobs. There is CSI, Corrective Services Industries, which is huge. One of the industries all over the New South Wales, and say, for example, food services, kitchen work, engineering work, and there are traineeships, and there are online classes, and not only that, the cleaning, sweeping jobs, say COVID cleaner, they had to do the course to become a COVID cleaner. So that kind of work is available all over the place, where they can better themselves, make use of the resources, and get themselves in the skill set. When they go out, if they're a welder, they may got jobs straight away.
Yes.
And that's the skill set, and they have got the certificates which are in line with the TAFE, and that's what it matters.
By the sound of it, one of the big things that you're imparting to them is giving them respect, not only for other people but in themselves as well.
Yes, I think that inside help which is there, that gives them the confidence, and that gives them, yes, they can do it, and whether inside or outside, and that step they have to take. I mean, you can take a horse to water, but you can't make him drink unless he wants to or she wants to.
Very true. Very true. And obviously all this comes from your upbringing as well, too.
Yeah, I'm really thankful with the community background, my parents, and till now. And that's how still I'm involved in a lot of community efforts. You know, when you come here, the biggest morning tea, bushfire, cancer council, Clean Up Australia Day, and other, various interfaith projects. And I remember, went for painting the church at Redfern area and Harmony Day celebration. So over the years, you learn that that's part and parcel of giving back to the community.
Exactly. Well, you sound like a busy man, not only at work but also also in the community as well. What do you do for hobbies?
I try to play table tennis.
I was going to say, are you interested in the cricket at all?
Well, cricket has been long time back home, but
yes.
After a while you just move away from it, and whatever suits your background, and you do your,
yes.
Gardening and stuff.
Sure.
And obviously, if you have time, and rest of the other works with the community, which really makes a difference with the projects you're involved in, with especially with the elders and the communities which they have that knowledge barrier, and that's why, being background and knowing Punjabi language, you try to help them where they can, and
sure.
That helps inside and outside also. If we have a Punjabi inmates, we help them with that. And same with other inmates too. Wherever there's a need, you can refer them to the those services. So at least they can make use of the services and at least be at ease when they are inside the prison.
Sure. And what's the next step for you? Have you got any thoughts about what you'd like to do as far as these programs go, or is it sort of very much a day-to-day type thing? That's
the programs change according to the requirements, and when you move from one job to the other role, that also changes. So that's a challenge. Every time, every day is a new one, and I would really, from that point of view, till now, it's a second nature, and you're grateful for that opportunities, and that has made my journey as a better person, despite the various challenges and and the life experiences. And you meet people, who can positively make a change in your life, and you take it, go with the good, leave the bad.
Indeed. Well, that's a lovely way to finish it, I think, Gurpreet. It's been absolutely fascinating talking to you, and I do thank you for making yourself available to chat to us today. It's really been interesting for me, and I'm sure for many people as well. And just continue on whatever you're doing, and you're obviously doing a very good job.
Thanks, John. Thanks for your radio station to have me on, and that has been a great experience. Thank you for making it easy, because normally the interviews are very tenseful, but obviously you have made it an experience for me. Thank you very much.
No trouble at all. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you, and all the best.
Thanks, John.
Goodbye,
Much appreciated.
Goodbye. Bye-bye.